Well, well, well. Well. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me. Bring that. Come on. Get on in here. Let me get set up. I'll do this before. Come on, get in here. Women, yep. Get in here. I love y'all, but get in here. I love you. Ain't no but I love you. In the words of James Baldwin, rest in power. If I love you, then I make you conscious of the things that you don't see and aren't aware of. How did I do this before? I think I got it figured out. Let me take this out. Come on in here. Give honor to Source, the Creator, the Most High, for making all this possible. I swear, y'all, every time I be forgetting how to put the phone up like I did last time. Oh, and it just gets better every time. Come on in here. Give honor to Source, the Creator, Most High, gratitude. Yeah, get in here. Get in there. Yeah, get in there. Hey, girl, won't you back it up? Yeah, back it up. Hey, big girl, won't you back it up? Yeah, won't you back it up? Okay. I probably gonna drop 2 for, Jupiter went direct. Jupiter went direct in Gemini. I got a lot. I'm getting a lot of clear. I got a lot to say. Let me make this first statement. On this channel, we are held accountable. Yes, even myself, judgment no one is exempt from judgment. No one is exempt from karma. Energetically speaking. Come on in here. Let me speak to a lot of my women. A lot of y'all don't want these problems, but literally, I'm not the problem. I'm the solution. The world, let me make this very clear. This world as you know it, this reality, this realm, this earth, whatever you want to call it. Make this very clear. I'm going to ask y'all, especially to a lot of my women and so forth, ask you this question. I'm going to put this as a short too. Have you ever, and if you have, whether this resonates or not, have you grew up with men that are emotionally intelligent? Now you ask yourself that, and the reason this being said is that for those that have or have experienced a man that's emotionally intelligent, then you most likely will not be offended, or I may most likely may not. You will be very at ease or comfortable with this said conversation. Shout out to Yumi again, Genevieve. I just trust I said her name. I always get clarity of things, but it's kind of ties into a lot of the messages that I've been sharing. But this one definitely hit me. Come on over here, ladies, so I can hold y'all accountable. Come on over here. Because this can feel very intimidating. Yes, it will. It will feel very intimidating. Because I know, for one, you're not used to this. You're not used to this. What I know you're used to is, depending on your upbringing or experience or adulthood, that you're probably used to wounded men who are probably have a wounded ego, who probably aren't or probably not in tune or emotionally intelligent with themselves. So they're typically probably going to come from a wounded place and projecting their insecurities onto you, and how unfulfilled they are onto you, and how they can only offer said sex or offer certain things from a lower nature, or from a place of where, again, a false sense of security or a false sense of stability, reflecting more so a true the divine stableness within themselves, or just more so like how y'all say he ain't got his ish together. And let me tell you, baby, that's far from the truth of just having your ish together. Y'all don't realize I be really wanting to get these sun rays. So if you see me do this, it's because I don't got a little lighter because I haven't been in the sun that much because of weather. But man, when I say I be trying to like really get these sun rays, I probably got to position the phone because it just feels so good. So, you know, we are in the process of going through a lot of healing, y'all. So a part of that is the uncomfortability of that healing. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. The uncomfortability of that healing. How does that look? Somebody holding y'all ass accountable. That's what the divine father or mother is, or just the awareness of like someone holding you accountable. I want to make you very uncomfortable because a lot of us are at that age like, okay, there's no more excuses to where we can't move forward, but and part of making you uncomfortable is so that you can take care of your well-being. So you can learn to take care of your motherfucking self. Yeah. Come on. Stand up. Come on. Anywho. Yeah. So, shout out to Yumi again. Talking about this subject, how on her channel or Facebook I came across it, it was saying, emotional intelligent men ruffle feathers because they refuse to infantilize. Did I say that right? Infantilize, or I probably jacked that word up, but I know it's related to like infancy or like babying someone, or it said infantilize women. So look, y'all, listen. I ain't ashamed. I ain't ashamed at all. Because I wrote it so fast. But a lot of you can relate to that. Basically, it also says calling women out on their behaviors and their mother being first. Woo-wee. I know a lot of y'all probably hoping that a lot of men that y'all probably are with, or probably have been with, and this ain't getting on to no relationship thing. This is more so, oh, we might have something going right here. This ain't just about like relationship thing. This is about like bringing more awareness. I be trying to, I don't realize, bro. Bringing the awareness to how when you see a lot of men who have mother wounds, typically have this deep emotional connection to their mothers, and it's almost like their mother smothers them and they never really feel, or some of you have probably been in relationships or marriages or whatever it is where a lot of these men don't know how to let go of their mothers, or they're in some type of thing to where either they don't know how, or it's probably embedded in something real deep to a mother wound. And so there's this underlying connection or something that's probably could be trauma bond or linked to something to where it's a codependency there, basically codependency. And you never really fully have that man attention in that set of relationship or connection. But leading up to that, this is speaking on men who are not as in tune or emotionally intelligent or evolved men who have evolved, such as myself, past that stage of realizing that my emotions aren't like my mother's emotions aren't mine. I cannot take care of her emotions. Or even in a partnership with someone, is that their emotions are theirs first. It's not for me to nurture them. They're not a baby. You know what I'm saying? They're not something to where I have to like my daughter. They're not someone that, you know, when it comes to the nurturing part, they're not, you know, immediately something I gotta sacrifice my emotions to all of a sudden jump into and save the day, like that superhero complex. And this even links to even imposter syndrome, to where it's like there were parts where you'll see a lot of these men don't feel like they can succeed past either what their mom have told them, or their emotional inability probably is connected to that. And because they didn't have a man who was emotionally intelligent in the home, you know, who were very secure within themselves, no matter how mom may have acted, they knew how to make certain decisions, sound decisions, be aware, knowing how to move, knowing how to act, knowing how to be assertive. So typically, again, where I'm getting at, because I want to start from, I like to give duality or different perspectives to why it leads to that being intimidating for a lot of women. And the reason I say it can be easily intimidated for a lot of women, because again, most of the time, these women haven't experienced emotionally intelligent women. And then when you look at it from a man's perspective, that little boys, a lot of us haven't dealt or been in interactions or healthy connections with men who are emotionally in tune. That being said, it can be very intimidating for a modern day woman in said America or other places, because when what y'all have been given, the illusion that y'all have been given, outside of what your own internal battle is, you know, I was talking to my bro, and I'm just honored and grateful because, you know, he, I guess I could just tie all this in here. He recently went to therapy. He told me, I was like, bro, what? Like, you don't realize how excited I was, not just as an adult me, but the little boy in me. It's like, oh man, you went somewhere, like, and it was so amazing because he was just saying how, you know, he went to therapy, and the beauty of that is, you know, he told me, like, you know, what they told him, like, he had this adult trauma or whatever. But I also remind him, okay, you know, that's a therapist, not discrediting what they're doing. That's their purpose, that's their profession, and so forth. I also constantly remind people of the inner child that we all have, constantly reminding them, like, look, that is also a part or a piece of the puzzle, but, you know, there are other things that you have experienced growing up with your mother, with other women, and so forth. And that's when he got into that. And this leads into even this whole subject where it can be very intimidating to women of a man who don't, you know, almost like who's in tune, and who can also we have intuition as well, where we're able to stand in the gap for ourselves first, rather than trying to like pour from an empty cup, or take more on than we should. And you will see this so much in society, where, you know, he started to tell me, like, how certain things where, you know, in his interaction with the therapist, how he you know, she asked him, was he comfortable with telling him how he felt, and he said no. And I asked him, because I'm bringing, you know I get viewers from all walks of life, so I'm breaking down things where you can see it from a different psychology, from a person that's darker and a person that's lighter. And I asked him, I said, so what was a psychologist, a darker woman? He said, yeah. And so immediately I went into that space of, like, okay, she's a darker woman, that's great, because that will bring out a different perspective, or even a different energy, or a different emotion from a darker man who probably has experienced some type of trauma related to darker women. And the reason I say that, because someone that's lighter, their experiences, whether it's traumatic or not, depending on their upbringing, could look completely different than mine when I grew up in a certain demographic. You see what I'm saying? So their visual or their responses, you know, their neurotransmitters or certain responses may be completely different, being that our experiences were different. So their triggerings may be different. So when he told me that, I was like, okay, cool. The reason, you know, I asked him that, because when she asked him, like, do you feel safe telling me about, you know, what's going on? He said no. And I automatically knew where he was coming from, because he immediately said, like, there's this thing or stigma to where, like, women, like, always want something from him, whether it's money, whether it's, you know, all these things that I don't even think a lot of women are even aware how much of the programming has been so deep embedded into y'all from a wounded place, to where you actually believe that you know, just the first thing a man should do is provide and protect. And there's no depth to that. And it's not to say that he doesn't need to provide financially and protect you. Where I'm also getting at is the awareness around the importance of the emotional part of that, the spiritual part of that, the physical, not just it all being focused on the superficial or surface thing. I know a lot of people become uncomfortable with these things, but it's just what it is. This is someone who's speaking from an emotional, intelligent place, who has evolved to this place from whether a wounded place, an emotional unavailability, or having emotional unavailable caregivers and so forth, and being around people like this. It's how I got here. It's been a transition. It's been an evolution. So that being said, when I'm asking him, and he tell me that, well, he tells the therapist, like, oh yeah, man, you know, I told her like I didn't feel comfortable because, you know, what he's saying is like the women that look like her, darker women, have not been a safe place for him. And you know, I spoke previously on my previous video about how there are no platforms in place where, you know, men that are darker, there's no safe place for us to speak or feel safe. So in my experience, even coming to being more in tune with myself, it's very challenging and very rare for a lot of men to even get to this place, because there's no representation for us when it comes to even how, you know, most of us haven't, you know, in these careers, in these places where they hold a space for us to even express ourselves genuinely, to express our emotions, whether anger, frustration, sadness, or whatever. And due to a lot of our women, darker women especially, upbringings, a lot of their manipulative ways, whether they know it unconsciously or not, have come through whether a said matriarchal figure or a patriarchal figure who have consistently been in and out, or this woundedness around the father wound. And so this has carried on to their relationships where they don't even recognize them, knowing that they're not a safe place for men. They're not, like, a lot of y'all don't realize it's not to attack you. You don't even know unconsciously that you're not a safe place for yourself. You can tell the world, and just because you provide a home, and just because you've, you know, not realizing that you naturally carry a nurturing and mother energy, so it's natural for you to want to bring that man in, and not knowing the vices, the spiritual warfare, the things that come with him, because you don't realize you haven't been around men or women who are emotionally intelligent or in tune or listen to their intuition. So a lot of this shit I'm saying can be very intimidating, because a man that is emotionally in tune or in this society can be very intimidating, because he's not going to be moved not just from his sexual desires or, you know, that lust aspect, but his mind is not going to be persuaded by your sweet words or by your gestures or even by things that are just surface level, because the emotions come from within. And what makes that intelligence is that we know that they come and go, just as everything else come and go. And so a lot of emotional intelligence also dealing with the mental aspect. When you hear a woman talk, how does she feel about herself? How does she speak about herself? So I've noticed this for a while. And so when I'm speaking to my bro, you know, he went to therapy, and she's telling him, you know, these things that's going on with him, and his rebuttal is like, I see the little boy that hasn't had a safe place. And, you know, his safe place for him, what he was expressing was his mother, because she was been the most encouraging. But he was also expressing like how he deserves a reciprocity in a relationship. But what he don't know, I know, is that there's still a codependency there with him and his mom, because naturally a lot of men, they don't recognize their own attachment to that mother, because again, I've always said the mother is the first teacher. So a lot of you women are dealing or have dealt with men who still have this subconscious or this attachment that no one is better than their mother, bro. No one's going to treat them better than their mother. And then typically if they went through experience like me, where I didn't have the best mother, or she didn't show up as nurturing, showing all those healthy feminine attributes or principles, then this led me into a complete different journey. So you're talking about men that are on everyone has a different perspective and an outlook on women, depending on their relationship with their mother. So when women ask, like, what's your relationship with your mother? It's not going to always be the same response, because for me, my healthy way of dealing with my mother is going to be completely different than someone else who had a different relationship with their mother. Now, some people may not agree to how the interaction may be, but no one can determine what is healthy for me but me, and what keeps me at peace and harmony. So again, that's through the development of the wounded aspect I dealt with, the women and my mother. And then even when it says calling out women on their behaviors, and the mother being first. And let me tell you, one thing I was realizing with my bro, which I'm recognizing, which I, keep encouraging, because he's actually in a situation where he had to move and be there with his mom and sisters. And I'm telling bro, like, there's going to come a time where you're going to have to dig within yourself. And, there's similarities with him and I, to where he didn't have a father present. So a lot of men, such as myself and him, we have to dig a little deeper within ourselves when we're talking about security within ourselves. And that begins with emotion. That begins, that foundation, because again, a lot of men drawn back to their mothers, they still have a dependency there. And so no matter how far they go, no matter what relationship or marriage they get in, they really never have almost let that idea or emotionally or cut ties in a way to where they know that they are secure within themselves first. They are their first and last love. And that love that they experienced from their mother or that matriarchal figures or whomever in their life was just an experience, just to guide them to themselves, just to guide them to becoming a healthier, more balanced version of a man with, the masculine and feminine principles. So with bro, it's like I was expressing to him, like, you're in a place, bro, like, you're gonna have to make a decision for you, to where a lot of men, whether they still have a home or something, they know that they're deep within themselves, that they still had to make a decision what was best for them. So a lot of men dealing with these mother wounds, they don't know how, because they only know consistency of dysfunctionality, woundedness, and you see this reflected in a lot of their relationships. Until they become more emotionally in tune and evolve from that dysfunction to a more healthier version for themselves. And so that's when they attract or be in more healthier dynamics that reflect their core values. And so when you're in women or men in relationships and you knowingly know that this person doesn't reflect the same core values, you have to ask yourself, women and men, like, yo, either this is stemming from my childhood or something that I've seen throughout my life, and it reflects those same core values. Same core values. And so, so going back into, like, me telling bro, like, you have to make that choice within yourself, because this is asking for a newer version of you that is not so codependent or comfortable in where you are. And most men are that, because they're not ready to evolve past that codependency state to where they have to be more interdependent or dependent on self. And with that can be very challenging and intimidating for a lot of women, because he's not dependent on you emotionally. He's not focused on what it is you're doing, because he knows that his purpose and his mission is for himself. His first mission is to himself first. to love himself first, to honor his emotion and so forth. Even if you're in a marriage or you're in a partnership or whatever it is, that's why it's so vital for you and that person or that person to know individually outside of this connection, no matter the distance or whatever, I'm still my own individual first. You're your own individual. You have your own emotions. You have your own experiences. Our experiences wasn't the same. Even if I grew up in a home with a sister and a mother, my sister and me, and then we had the same mother, our experiences, we may experience our mother in a different way. I mean, in the same household, but our experience from a boy to a little girl, we're going to receive it differently. We're going to perceive it differently. And so where I'm getting at is me coming into this awareness also speaks about how I've had to actually hold and have talks with my mother that most men don't do. Most men don't hold their mothers accountable or call them out on their behavior. I've had to have these conversations with my mom face to face and through a phone, to where I had to realize, like, okay, this comes a point where I have to let you go energetically, emotionally, mentally, and physically. And a lot of people aren't ready to do that. Because, again, there's a deep codependency that you don't see on the surface that's internalized. Because, again, all men and women, especially our men, we hold an idea of a woman, and that typically is given from what we have experienced in the womb with our mother and outwardly when we come here in the physical. So a lot of women are dealing or have dealt with men that, again, it don't matter how beautiful you are. I don't care if you're a celebrity, how much money you have. I don't give a fuck if you're a royalty. Every man, little boy, has an image. And whatever that image is rooted in, and typically when you look at this society, a lot of it is not. It's superficiality. It's surface stuff. So a lot of their things are not rooted in healthy feminine principles or things that are like that really liberates them. And it's not ego driven or from wounded ego or from a wounded place. Because when you look at the state of the world, the cultures, it's exposing everything of that. The wounded part of, and the ego-driven, and the distorted femininity that has given birth to distorted masculine within us all as men and women. So of course, I naturally can see why it would be intimidating where an emotionally intelligent man or a man that's in tune is not focused on how much money he has, or if he gonna build you a table or what he can bring to the table. He's so aware of himself that he knows that just by his presence or his vibe alone, that he is not in competition. That's ego. He's not in competition in what you see in his interactions. And what you see in these almost like debates about relationship, the woman doing this, she doing this, all of that shit is ego driven and wounded ego and wounded people fueling that. Because they're not an emotional intelligent man they're going to hold you accountable, because he's going to recognize the distorted mother in you, the distorted mother energy, the energy that isn't feeding him. And I don't mean feeding him physically. It's like you're not mirroring back to him. Either you're going to mirror back to him the unhealthy shit that he's subconsciously had dealt with, that he either no longer wants to be a part of, or he still wants to cycle through. And some women are not aware. When I be holding y'all accountable, some of y'all don't even realize that you're in this energy and you're so in denial. That's why it's so intimidating when a man say you don't love yourself. Look at how you treat your son. You don't love yourself. Look at how you treat the next man because he don't have as much money, or unrealistic viewpoint, or unrealistic this idea that you have of what he should be. Like build a man. This a belief system that you have developed from somebody else or from someone else's belief system you grew up with. You don't even have your own belief system on what a man is. You don't even know the importance of his emotions because you don't know the importance of your emotions because you never grew up around people who value emotions, who are emotionally unavailable. So how would you know the difference between what a emotional, intelligent man looks like? Because y'all are taught to look on the surface first rather than go within yourself and to literally see literally mirroring back what it is I know that will be, reciprocity that will give me value and substance. Is it feeding my soul? Because I was with some elderly women the other day. I was sitting here like, I be trying to tell men like the beauty of how powerful women really are once they realize like if our emotions begin with y'all, sis, women, that's why I be trying to tell y'all how liberating you already are, and you hold yourself back because you don't realize like you have the power. You've been in so much dysfunction and so much hyper masculinity that you don't even realize you've been force feeding men who are not ready to grow, who are not ready to evolve, who don't even realize that in your connection or your relationship, they're there to learn the lessons so that they can evolve, so that you actually mirror back to him that said feminine or masculine energy or this feminine energy that you're naturally in, and you're literally inspiring him. It will inspire him to be a better being or better man. But he has to know he can be better. But some of y'all don't even realize that you're good for yourself. So, and this is just from evolution of growing and learning. I didn't even know at the time what it was to be healthy. I wanted to be better, but I didn't know how to be healthy for myself first. So how could I have a healthy relationship or dynamic if I don't know how to be healthy for me first? So it can be very intimidating when I say y'all want us to get our so-called shit together, but y'all don't even have your emotions together. Y'all don't even have peace within. Y'all don't even have harmony and trust within yourself. You don't even trust yourself. So you're coming from demographics or belief systems where you've seen women manipulate men. You've seen women want, like, y'all use the term womanize, but menize or pimp men out. I actually was in places where I seen women who literally, y'all don't even realize y'all been taught to pimp men out instead of inspiring him. Instead of literally using your energy or force or being just who you are authentically, you literally destroy him. Y'all not ready for these accountabilities and, the shit like that. But how are we to blame when you're the problem when you need to find your own solution? Those days are over with, because it's like, I can see why it's very intimidating for a man that's in tune, because he's not gonna go for that. What's the word? Infantilize, whatever. It's like baby you through certain things, because a woman that knows that she's secure within herself isn't gonna look for that external validation or acceptance from a man to even be who she is. Because everything begins with her first. And she knows that her relationship with her first is just as vital as a relationship with that person. But again, we have grown up in a society environments where y'all have been taught by wounded ass men. Emotionally unavailable men. Y'all have emotionally unavailable fathers. I don't care if he was militant. A lot of these men that y'all have, bro, I see it. I see it on a daily basis. I'm like, bro, the way they interact, the way they force feed y'all, the way they push y'all into sports, the way they push you more into a masculine role that now y'all know nothing about femininity or the feminine principles. And this is why you don't have a healthy balance with yourself and knowing what it is to and attract or even be in a relationship with men who give off this more hyper feminine energy, and then how they portray it in a masculine way. They coming from more a wounded place because it reflects you. And it's not that we don't attract different aspects of people because they all teach us something. this is why a lot of people are intimidated. This is where you don't want accountability. Because you don't want to be healthier for you. This is why a lot of women scapegoat through their kids, especially the little boys. This is why they smother them. And you wonder why a lot of these little boys, they don't know what to do with their fucking emotions when they go out there. Because if you're not in tune, then you're not teaching him the importance of being aware of that. So a lot of these young boys will grow up around a lot of women who are just emotional based, and depending on how they're directing their energy, whether it's unhealthy, you're literally giving him a blueprint or a foundation for that. And then he goes out into the world and he carries that blueprint within his subconscious mind or within his body, and he reenacts that behavior just from a different perspective, from a man perspective. He thinking that's okay to be treated this way. You know, I wrote something down that says, let me see. I know this is going to ruffle some feathers, but I know I used to hear people throw this around like how, you know, and there is truth to this, but I will ruffle some feathers around this. Because I like to break things down. Now, when it comes to let's just say all people are disrespected. But when I see, like, I heard someone say, because I'm going to be very clear when I say this. I heard someone say, like, the darker woman, or someone use the term black woman, is the most disrespected woman in humanity or in this country. There is truth to that. There is truth to that. But what I will say is they also are the most disrespectful. And the reason I say that, and this is why I want to hold y'all accountable, is because you use what you have been disrespected. You know, you have been disrespected. And this goes for all women, but especially I know women that have been disrespected. So what you gonna do with it? And what I mean by that, I've seen women who, even if they wasn't disrespected, or they have been disrespected, or let's say they haven't been valued, where is the accountability, or where is the awareness on how you can use that to better your circumstances? Or why have you asked yourself this question? Why have you used that to disrespect your sons and the men around you? Why do you continue to hold that resentment for your father when he disrespected you? And this goes for all women, but I'm especially talking to darker women because I know some person. It's like, why do you still harbor that resentment and then project it onto your sons? Why do you still hold on to that anger and that frustration, and you literally disrespect yourself and the ones around you? Because where I'm getting at is like, there is no excuse to use those things, and literally, it's just like me saying, like, me having to get to this place. It's like I had to see people who didn't see my value so that I know the importance of what it is I need to learn to value myself. Because what I'm saying is, they never knew the importance of their value. And it's wildly I'm saying this is because if you are the most disrespected or have been the most disrespected, what can you do differently? Have you respected yourself? How will you progress? How can we use this to bring awareness, you know, to even so this no longer happens? And it's like I'm challenging you, especially with darker women, it's like challenging you to realize, what will you no longer tolerate? Yes, you have been the most, if someone says the most disrespected, or even been disrespected. Okay, so what have you done in return? Because I know demographics where I see women who harbor the resentment due to a father wound or due to whatever else, and they project that disrespect onto their kids in the most disrespectful way. And that's from my experience. I don't know. I'm not going to speak on certain things because it looks different. Now, I will say this. from being around people that are of different ethnicity and certain things, that disrespect looks completely different. Because the world in excels when you look at the totality of how they value women, and a nation can go no further than this woman, then that tells you a lot about all women. So, and another thing, like, it's funny that I'm speaking about how like intimidating it can be to be in tune or emotionally intelligent men. I also got stuff here because, again, I want to make y'all as uncomfortable as possible. No one suppresses emotions better than a darker woman. And the reason I say that is because from my experience through my lens. It's not to say that women of other nationalities don't suppress it. Because the reason I'm speaking to right now darker women, I'm going to speak on all levels, is because there's no one that masks and harbors. Like, the best way I know is in darker women. And like, and the reason I say that is because some of them haven't had a safe place. And there's nothing in place. But at the same moment, it's like their suppression has caused them so much destruction within. And again, I ask myself, especially darker women, why do you continue to suppress it? What is really going on with you? Why? The next thing I wrote down. Oh, like, this is the, like, I be getting stuff and then I be like, you know what? I guess I'm the one that just called to talk about it. But it's just authenticity. There's no one, and this is not to put anybody in a box. You know who this is for. And this is just, again, you know who this is for. If it resonates, it resonates. No one hides their emotions better than, and I'm going to use the term Caucasian, or some may say white, but I stay away from that stuff. But let's say lighter skinned women. No one hides their emotions better than a Caucasian or lighter skinned women when it comes to the experiences of darker women. In the hospitals, in the world, in this country, and when it comes to darker people also experiences and mistreatment, no one hides it better than women that are lighter and Caucasian women. No, they hide this better than anybody else. And it's like they knowingly, subconsciously know what's going on, but they hide it even better than anybody that I know. The next one is this is for, especially America, but probably resonate with a lot of people. No one is programmed to be everything but themselves better than American people. And y'all hide this so well through your money, your fame, through your careers and so forth. One thing I've learned about society, y'all hide yourself so much better. Y'all have literally been programmed to be everything but yourselves. All right, let me continue, because I'm gonna get back into my subject at hand. No one is more scared of a darker man, retribution, and emotions than a Caucasian man and or woman who has knowingly internalized hatred and racism and gained their pretty much success, or what they deem as success, through these societies, corporations, from an unstable energy or just dysfunction. And so, and also, no one is more scared of a darker man than you know what this is for, than a woman who is of the opposite, let's say, culture or race, that are, not typically they didn't come from a lineage that is, or family that particularly are dating men that are darker. No, look, listen. There's nobody more scared of themselves, or no one more scared of a darker man than, but I'm gonna use the term Caucasian or whatever nationality of women that are lighter, that who are or have an infatuation, but fear the consequences of said interactions due to their either racist family or religious beliefs. And the reason I say this is because this is to bring awareness to a lot of people. How it shows how you are so afraid of yourselves to even go out there to really love the person, or to really be with the person that you really love. Like, I'm not talking about just love. I'm talking about in a place where you know that you are destined to be together. And we don't even realize how much deep programming, so much that has, when I look at certain towns, I was just telling someone this, I was like, you literally have a country or a place that there were times and still moments where people have built villages and towns where they have migrated here to this country, killed all the unalive people of darker or whatever, and darker people play their hand in it too, and literally built corporations, businesses, towns, and so forth to literally keep people that are darker out. It was literally forbidden. And so now it's almost like universally what's happening or what's balancing out. I was telling someone, I said, you really don't realize, like, a lot of women who, I always speak to every different race. It don't matter, it's a human race, but I always speak to, especially, I be speaking to, like, my partner, because a lot of women that are like, whether you want to use the term Caucasian or you Irish, whatever it is, like lighter skin, a lot of you don't even realize, outside of the privilege, a lot of you have internalized racism and you don't even know it. A lot of you have grew up around fathers and men who have been so ego driven, who have suffered so much from PTSD, who have been in the military, who have suffered so much psychologically, that are so disconnected from their emotions and have so much fear or things within inside them, that they are so driven by society norms or monies, monetary things or superficial things, that you don't even realize why you don't even, and this is another deep thing I'm gonna get into. This is also about emotional, intelligent men holding y'all accountable. All women of all cultures and races. Lighter skinned women, y'all, fairer skin, whatever, lighter, Caucasian, whatever you want to call yourself. I've seen this in different cultures. A lot of you don't even have, or your mothers, a lot of you don't even have healthy relationships, foundations with darker people. Yes. But you will go out here in these careers and so forth and workplaces. A lot of you don't even have a healthy foundation with darker people. Your mothers, let's say you interacted, or y'all use the term interracial. Okay, but that was forbidden at a point of time for a lot of you in your lineages. And then y'all still unconsciously or even purposely stay away from people that are darker, and y'all don't have a healthy foundation with people. Y'all literally stay away because y'all have been programmed, because y'all look on social media. Y'all have the news programming y'all ass to literally believe that we're all like evil, malicious, or whatever. But y'all forget about the origins of this country. But yet y'all have been programmed deeply so long, for so many years, that you believe that even the people that are darker don't even belong here. And when you look at the origins of this country, you literally see what's going on with the women, have seen for years. And your grandfathers and great-grandmothers and so forth have seen it as well. This has been a history of y'all knowing that you never had healthy connections or foundations, and it literally reflects your internal racism or your internal hatred for yourselves and for people that don't look like you. You call that shit integrity? And the last thing you fear too is your daughters being with a darker man or going to a university and ending up with someone. Y'all purposely reject your kids, cast them out because they bring a little dark boy into your home. It's the same thing for darker women too. Y'all ain't exempt. I'm trying to bridge the gap with y'all hatred for yourselves so that y'all realize that it's y'all that don't know how to love yourselves. Because then when you start to realize, once we get past this skin shit, then you'll be able to get on a deeper level for yourself. This where the emotional intelligence come in. When you realize it don't matter what that person say, how they feel about you and so forth, how they feel about what you look like, what they call you. That reflects their internal world. And now that their world is being shattered, because I always call it out, now the stuff y'all say y'all didn't see, especially women that are lighter, you've been in these communities for so long, you try to hide behind your Christianity, your religion, love. You try to hide behind it, love. And you can't do it anymore. You can't hide behind your societies, your covens, and whatever it is anymore. You can't hide behind your money. Because divine retribution is here, baby. Yeah, y'all don't have healthy relationships with darker people. You don't go into those communities because you're scared. You're scared of yourself. But yet you build these communities just purposely knowing that your grandfathers and grandmothers purposely built those communities to keep those type of people out. But yet you have an infatuation with the darker men. Yes, you don't want to admit it because your soul is calling out. Your spirit is calling out. And you don't know what's driving you to want to be with Ray Ray or want to be, a part of the culture. And let me get on darker people too. Y'all the same way. Same way. I know. I call it out. You're dealing with a man that's in tune. Y'all have this scarcity, this narrative that every woman that don't look like you is against you. In what way? And some of this ain't even based off your experience. Whew. Once y'all start to realize like everybody got vices, a lot of people came here to do things differently through their lineage. I was telling someone, I'm like, you know your family not to even deal with darker people. You know your family for years. Some of y'all got, when you want to call them interracial babies, a baby that got a little bit of melanin in them, that girl, that ain't happened for over 200-300 years. Shit funny, but it's real. Same thing with darker people. Y'all been in this little thing, like, I was telling somebody from my experience. My grandma, like, I believe I'm the first out of her grandkids, 12 grandkids that, am I? I believe so. Out of all of her 12 grandkids, I'm the only one that has kids that are of a lighter shade. You know what that brings up for her? I had to tell her about herself too, because once you're dealing with a man that's in tune, it can be very intimidating when I can pick up on your bullshit intuitively. When I realize that you're harboring emotions because you don't really want to say how you feel, and you want to act like you like you want to act like you like my kids when I know you don't, because you have this internalized hatred towards people that are lighter than you. And I get it. Because it's deeper, because there are people acting like in the 60s, 70s, and so forth, and still happening now, that we haven't been in a country or an environment that has literally did everything to devalue men and, that are darker and people that are darker in a country and worldly through religion, religious constructs, through everything, corporations, through your monetary system, through everything. through everything. Giving off this false superiority, this complex, when I know purposely these men that are policing, that are in these certain structures, they have no emotional intelligence. When I say there are no depth to them, that means they have no compassion. And a lot of you have no compassion. I get it. You don't have compassion for us. People don't have compassion. They don't even know what that is because they don't have compassion for themselves until something traumatic happens, until something catastrophic happens in the world. When the universe or the divine, something happened to your ass, and here it is, people that are lighter, y'all been living in communities your whole life, the last 100 years or so forth, and all of a sudden now you brought into this, to this environment where you may be subjected to move to a place you never, that is more, the demographics are different. Now you're forced to shift somewhere. Wonder how the tables are turning now. Same thing to go for darker people. It's like, I realized, like, the Most High was literally put me in this position and showed me, like, look, just because these people are different or whatever doesn't mean that they don't still have vices or spiritual warfare. They're choosing to continue to curse their lineages or keep their lineage stuck by not progressing, by keeping that energy of stupidity, ignorance, keeping that energy of, this false illusion, giving off this false empowerment, this ego-driven society. Y'all doing this shit to yourself. That goes for all creeds and colors. Why would I sit back and complain about why it is I'm not progressing and I can do something about it? I just have to find different ways because my ancestors did. Now, when I look at a lot of people's ancestors, I see exactly why y'all act the way you do. Because your mamas and grandfathers and great-grandmothers, they did the same shit. Y'all are literally reenacting that same energy. But when karma come back around, you will meet someone such as myself who is in tune that ain't going for that shit. I'm not going for that. This is not your normal, whether you want to see my skin color all the way down to my essence. This is not the same, boo-boo. Sarah, John, Jimmy, Tanisha, Ray, this is not the same. All creeds and colors, this is not the same. So again, it can be very intimidating because y'all so focused on the external, but then when you hear someone speak intellectually, because you got your degrees and because you got certain things and don't realize, like, I see through a lot of y'all. Outside of your cars, outside of what it is, outside of just because you made it out the hood and so forth, and then you got to a place and now you're dealing with imposter syndrome. You don't even feel like you're worthy of it. You don't even feel like you deserve it. Because you left the real you in a place where you know that you're afraid to really be you. In those environments, in that corporation, in these places, because what? Oh, they may judge me. They may fire me. They may get rid of me. Why? Because these corporations and these business that you see crumbling, all this shit of the old world crumbling is because it was built, what? On structural racism, on hatred, on preying on your childhood wounding so you don't speak up, so you don't actually share what you need to say. Because in all these big places, bro, I can see it. I see you all. All of y'all, I don't care how big your name is. You ain't bigger than the Most High or the divine or the powers that, the new power, the powers that be now. Y'all ain't bigger than the mission. You ain't bigger than the purpose, the bigger picture. You just a part of it. And a lot of you are just pawns. And you know that. Because you don't know yourself. Don't let these people trick you out your position. Once you realize how in tune you become, you realize the world is a stage. A lot of people, I don't care what their status and creed or whatever it is, what they do. Y'all not for the people. And it's going to be exposed. Y'all not for the people. Y'all not encouraging people to really go in tune and be for themselves. And to see the importance of that individuality, their own mission and purpose. Come on now. A lot of y'all going to be called out on it. It's like when all that bull-ish being flushed down the toilet. Shit don't come back up in the toilet. You plunge it, but it gonna go down. You can fight to come back up. It's going down. Yeah. Again, this is the last thing I'm gonna leave y'all with. Yep, it's on 20%. Anywho, it's just like on the post where Yumi said, society promotes men to be emotionally avoidant. Not over here. We gonna cry over here. We gonna be vulnerable over here. Now, I know a lot of you women didn't grow up around vulnerability, and you grew up around manipulative ways, or you try to manipulate your way through things until that energy come back, because you can manipulate energy all you want to through your sorcery or through your everyday life or whatever it is. But baby girl, over here, we in tune over here as men. We recognize the feminine principles. We see the unhealthiness in your ass, so that we can lead young men to be leaders for themselves, whether you want to accept it or not. Those days are over with these unhealthy patterns. I know I ain't expecting a lot of women to accept this message. Hey, you can take it what it is. You can call me what you want. Guess what? When you are in tune, when you become more aware of self, you can recognize the energy. You can recognize it. Yeah. You just beautiful on the surface. You only thing, what? You can't sway me with what? All women got a wound. What can you come and sway me with? How even, do you even love yourself? To my young men, let me tell you the importance of emotional intelligence. You will be surprised. I tell people about this. I give them this analogy of like, what's the first thing you look for? What are the most valuable things that in the when you go look at a house? Now this is those old, those homes where, the elders used to keep the most valuable things. Will you keep the most valuable things in the basement or in the attic? And I love this analogy because it was so important, because it just visualized like a woman who, has just this to offer rather than her mind intellectually. Is she in tune with herself? If she only has this to offer, just an incubus, a succubus spirit, that's all? When you're dealing with a man that's emotionally in tune, baby, do you know what it is? Can you hold space for yourself to regulate your emotions? I realize you ain't even been in a society where, again, that promotes and push what I do. That pushes the narrative of, emotional intelligent men. Men are intelligent, or even women. So the addict thing, is that woman in tune? How does she speak? What is her thoughts? What is her thoughts of her life? Is she battling with something intrusive? Is she going through things that, mental? How does she feel? How does she think about herself? And what that does, you will realize once y'all become aware of that, it ain't about how she look on social media, in person. Can she even read? Can she even write? Do she got goals, short-term, long-term? Is she in tune with herself? What's her relationship with her mother and her father? Most importantly, her father. Do she love herself? Does she have a healthy balance, healthy connection with herself, spiritually, emotionally, and physically? Because it don't matter how she present herself physically. Okay, she can hump you like a rabbit all day long, but once you're dealing with a man or realizing how much in tune we become, that can be very intimidating to them fellas. Fellas, it would be very intimidating to them. Women, women and fellas, they can be very, same for women. Those boundaries start to be implemented. They're not used to this. There's not a society. They're teaching men that we're naturally emotionally avoidant. That's not true. Because when we try to be and express our emotions, as I've said before, there isn't a space that y'all hold that for us. Because a lot of you are emotionally unavailable, and it's not blaming you. You just grew up in environments like that. And it only leads you to a self-sabotaging yourself and a relationship and your business and your partnership. Because you're so hyper masculine, you're so independent, rather than learning the importance of emotional being emotionally in tune, which is your interdependence. So again, now you seeing all this stuff that you said you built and created, but the deep rooted part of it is that the energies that you see these people have built these structures on have come from wounded women that have gave birth to wounded men who let their ego drive them into building constructs or structures that we know are crumbling, that is not going to stand whatsoever because it's not rooted in authenticity or integrity. And most importantly, it's not rooted in anything that liberates the feminine aspect of us and women or the matriarchal. So of course, I'm a threat to anybody that's in tune is a threat to anything that's the opposite of that. Whoo. Come on now. So, yeah. I'm sitting here saying like the thing that a man that's in tune would be talking about, how can we build and put structures in place? This is why I be calling out to my women for that divine support, to where I've seen people abuse their power or use their energy to prey on y'all woundings. Why is it so easily to support some fucking dysfunction when it comes to the fact of, like, y'all don't even realize the deep programming, how y'all literally support, to support the dysfunctionality of, y'all don't even realize like how deep the programming is. Y'all are not so used to emotionally intelligent men that you literally, over the years, will literally promote the dysfunctionality of keeping men, young boys, in a loop of self-sabotaging behavior. Literally. And then don't want no accountability when it comes back around, when that energy come back around. I'm not, like, it don't bother me that I'm not, that it's not that I'm not being supported. It's just, I know that what aligns with me, the women that will awaken into what it is I'm saying, they'll see the importance in when I'm expressing to y'all that there's a moment coming, we are in it, it's here, where I'm shattering your illusion and making you uncomfortable so you can see yourself, so you can rise within yourself to liberate yourself, to realize that it's going to take you, women, matriarchal, to realize how emotionally unavailable you have been for yourself, how the people and constructs in place have not supported you emotionally, have not been a safe place for you, so you have bred it and groomed and literally gave birth to these young men, and to the men that you see before today that are emotionally unavailable, that aren't aware of who they are, that have no self-awareness of what they're doing and their purpose. And then when you see that in the music, when you see that in all these things related to the medical and all these things that are connected to these things that no longer have they never had substance, or there's their foundations are already crumbling. Their blueprint, literally, I'm giving you something that is a blueprint of the world that you deserve and desire and you're worthy of. So you got to ask yourself, what do you want to continue to support? The men that you know, whether it's rappers, artists, athletes, that you know that are not giving a fucking message to your sons and or kids about the importance of being an individual self, to empower and to live their life authentically, fearlessly, loving themselves, honoring their emotions. It's already happening. Instead of keep pushing your kids into something that you know that you don't want them to do, but it's your ego. It's your woundedness that's driving them. Just because of your codependency to your sons, you want them to go and play these sports or go into this outlet into, because of your resentment or because of your father wound or because the father may not be present. It can be so many things to where anything to avoid you from feeling. I said anything to avoid you from feeling what you need to feel, to distract you, anything for you to escape through, chasing a bag in your careers, chasing more degrees, obtaining all this so-called success on the surface level, just for you to get to that position to realize, like, damn, it's been me all along. I don't believe in, like, it's faith with this. It's faith that I know y'all come around. Y'all come around. Y'all gonna have to go through y'all lessons and awakenings or certain things where divine intervention had to come in. And then you realize, like, wow, this man isn't in tune with himself. He really doesn't have a purpose. He doesn't have a vision. While I've been with this man 20, 30 years, he doesn't have a vision. Is his vision focus on his well-being of himself, the well-being of you, the well-being of the kids, or expanding things outside of just superficial shit, outside of just money? Who is that man? Who is that man to the depths? And you will sit back and look at all these men out here who y'all call leaders, who in the moment of transgression, who in the moment where emotions arise, who display no type of conscience or leadership that is stable in security of self, or is rooted in the betterment for all. Because a lot of it will expose the selfish attachments to their own desires, not including you. Because naturally, I know mothers, I know it's difficult. A lot of you I know, because again, you've had to put your emotions aside. So this is why I know a lot of you aren't in tune, and I'm not blaming you, but by you doing that, you naturally had to nurture and have to do this. And our grandmothers had to do this, try to nurture everybody else but your own emotions. You haven't nurtured that. So again, you don't have men that are nurturing. You don't know how to nurture yourself. Men are nurturing. How are we nurturing? Because we learned from y'all. But when you have a society that teaches you that men are emotionally avoidant and that we don't care about your emotions, that in the music that we don't care about you, when we do care about you, it's you that don't care about you. And when you have a man that's emotionally in tune, I can see that you care about you. You just care about other things more than yourself. And you care about your religion. You care about your career. You care about, other things more than your own well-being. So you haven't taken action because you fear the consequences of that. That's why I tell you about when the things that I've experienced or things that I see and observe, a lot of women are scared to step outside of their comfort zone. A lot of you are afraid to liberate yourself. But I'm calling you to liberate that little girl inside of you that knows she deserves fun, harmony, peace, stable relationship with herself first, a healthy relationship with herself first. Outside of motherhood. A lot of you, I'm telling you some real shit. Man, I would literally go to the park, and I know the divine put me in this position. And I'm like, why you put me in this position where it's like, to me, I'm thinking like, dang, okay, where most women be like, well, he don't have a job, or he not doing this. But when you realize you're on a mission to be somewhere and to see stuff, I'm telling you, the difference that I see with a lot of women that are darker the demographics, again, it's the same energy playing out, whether it's a mother wound. Let me bring y'all into women that are darker, depending on your demographics, let's say in the hood, and the women that are in these communities. I've used this in another video. Y'all don't realize, like, it's the same motherly energy. It's the same shit playing out with y'all. Y'all deep insecurities. Before y'all even get support from each other, y'all will literally let y'all subconscious fears keep you from actually building a healthy connection. Because the only thing y'all need to do is sit down and talk about certain things. And a lot of us, the stuff that you will talk about, because women are very in-depth people and creatures. Y'all really in-depth, like y'all emotionally. But since y'all have been so disconnected from that, you literally have disconnected yourself from that. Disconnection has caused you to be more hyper focused on motherhood than sisterhood. I don't know who needed to hear that, but truthfully, y'all have no sisterhood. You may have your sororities, and then in other communities, yeah, that's sororities in all different cultures, but you may have your groups, you may have your so-called sisterhoods and your religious communities, but to the depth of it, there's no emotional intelligence. Y'all don't know how to connect with yourselves emotionally. There's no emotional connection. Because outside of that, once you mask yourself in whatever groups, societies, or whatever you're in, you still have no depth to you. Because that little girl inside of you, a lot of you don't even realize, like, y'all have been so much in motherhood that I've been in these. Let me tell y'all, this is to my, like, women that are darker, that grow up in the hood. Let me bring y'all into a world where I've been around people that, let's say the community is, typically lighter skinned people. Let me tell y'all something. Yes, they may have a father in the home, but one thing that I realized I cracked the code on, you may see a lot of men in those homes, but they're not emotionally in tune or intelligent. They are so, again, society have literally made these men that are lighter, like Caucasian men or whatever, things that I've seen, or they are hyper focused on their jobs. And a lot of them have a lot of mother wounds that they are so disconnected to where, yeah, they may have marriages. They may portray to the world that they're happy. But truthfully, they may have all the money and everything, the big house and everything. But a lot of those housewives or mothers, stay-at-home mothers, are the most unhappy, dissatisfied, have unfulfilled dreams. Boy, y'all lucky. I'm on 10%. I know I got to get this out. Unfulfilled dreams, unfulfilled desires after having kids and so forth. Because there has been this programming that what y'all may think that there is a privilege, or what some may perceive as white privilege. I'm just using that term. Or use that as you're thinking that there's an advantage. Let me tell you, those stay-at-home moms hide and mask themselves so well. And this is just from observance. They will literally portray this going to the perfect schools, going to the best schools, being in the most perfect environments, having all the resources. But these people are so disconnected from reality, from themselves. They're more connected to the external reality than who they are. These women are so numb. It's no judgment, because a lot of them are going to see this. They are so numb. They have numbed themselves so much to themselves that they literally don't even realize how much they actually go out and try to put on this happy all the fucking time mask, to where they prioritize their kids' happiness more than themselves. Now, the only difference is, Caucasian women or whatever you want to classify yourself as, nationality. The only thing you see differently in the hood, yeah, a lot of those fathers may not be there. They're not there, whether it's they're institutionalized and so forth. Some of you women that are lighter literally think you have an advantage, and you don't. It's because the thing that, again, is playing out is that those women that are in those communities, darker communities or demographics where they have to depend on, say, different resources in a different way, they still, too, are disconnected emotionally. Because they still have to go out there in the workforce and just do things differently. So they don't really have the opportunity to pour into themselves. And so it's no difference in you being in your rich communities. You have no opportunity to pour into yourself, to really know who you are. So when I see the actors, when I see people out here in the world portraying themselves as this and that, I'm like, I can literally see that there's no depth to y'all. You're not letting your inner child have fun. You don't even know how. Because just because you think these people that I know, and it ain't classifying everybody, because I know people that are darker that are well off or whatever, but still, people that grow up in the hood, I'm putting y'all up on speed, giving y'all some gems, bro. It is not what you think it is. I don't care how gated the fucking community is. I don't care if they had the FBI or security protecting it. Ask yourself this. What is it that you're trying to keep out that you don't already have within? Peace and blessings. Shalom.